Well, okay, so I'm not even sure how I should start this. So a lot of people are doing podcasts and whatnot, and I haven't really got on board with the idea. I don't even really listen to podcasts. Like I know my own father and my mother do podcasts, but I've just never really gotten into it. For me, it's I don't know. I used to think of it as a waste of time. You're just sitting back and you're listening to people, bitch about things or tell about their stories in life, and it's just like I can fucking do that on YouTube, Like why the hell would I do anything like that? And then it gets to a point where you get older in your life and you're just like, damn, I really did go through a lot of shit, and it's like I don't know who the fuck's gonna hear me, but I'm obviously, I guess, bored enough in my life to where I'm gonna actually make a fucking podcast. I'm gonna start up some ideas and stuff like that. I really don't even know how to start this off. Like, and what am I supposed to like talk about the situations I've gone through in my life or my ambitions and goals and what I want to go towards? I mean, I guess that's a good start. So, I mean, I guess I'll start there. Um, I guess my ambitions in life was always to make a video. I've been video gaming since I was a little kid. Like, they handed me a regular Nintendo in my hands. I had the controller at the age of 3, and I've been playing the hell out of it ever since. Like I just game left and fucking right. Like that's my escape. That's my go-to. That's been my passion in life. When I get into games, I kind of go hardcore at it. Although I'm not very competitive unless I got my friends around. Like if I got friends around, I'll get into a competitive mood and I want to fight against them in these games, or get the biggest score or something like that. And that's one thing that I've always done my entire existence was just play fucking games. I don't really get into Fortnite or anything like that because honestly, I look at that game and it's just fucking garbage. I know a lot of people don't agree with me there, but like I don't like the concept behind it. It's like you're trying to walk on this field and shoot an asshole, and it's like you can't even fucking shoot this guy because he makes fucking tower within seconds. Like he's got this big ass fucking leaning tower of Pisa going on, and you're just like, I can't even fucking touch him. You go to shoot him, and within an instant, there's like 4 fucking walls in front of him. Like, nah, nah, I don't like that idea. If I'm gonna play a shooter, like I want to shoot, like flat out. Like that's Warzone was cool as hell. I got a chance to play that a couple of times, but when it came to like gaming on the consoles and stuff, I'm not really into the concept of it. I played on consoles my entire life, and it got to a point where you were just feeling like you're limited. Like there's not much you can really do with the consoles whatsoever. Like if I want to change the idea of the game because there's not much progress in it, and the storyline just dips off and it's like that's the end of it, you can't really do anything. There's not really much to change when it comes to like video games on the console. They do give you chances to like have certain things like Fallout having certain mods that they put into the game, but for the sheer fact that you can't really just go in there and put whatever you want into the game and continue the experience or broaden the horizons on that game, it got dull as hell to me. It really did. Like I didn't like the fact that you couldn't do what you want. And I'm the type of person that lives by the motto, give the players what they want. And honestly, I don't see that much going around nowadays. There is a lot of games out there that are doing their best to try to, bring that unique experience to people. They're just like, oh man, content's done. Let's wrap it up. But what if you find that one favorite game that you just want to continue on? You just want to keep fucking playing. That's just what I'm into. Like when I get into a game and it's done, I want the experience to continue. Like fuck, this was an amazing fucking game. I love the mechanics to it. I like the storyline to it. Everything just sounds fucking peachy, and you're just like, I want that to last. But the game itself, the storyline itself, just didn't really last very long. It was maybe, a certain amount of hours, and you were just like, wow, it's kind of boring. So you want mods, so you can put in different shit and do more shit with your game, or give you unique experiences, or just break the whole fucking game altogether just for the sheer fact that you can do it. Um, that's what I like about gaming on the PC. And I don't really have that setup yet. I've been trying to figure that out. My health is going down the drain more and more, and I feel it each day. My health I can feel it. Like I know for the sheer fact that I am dying. Like I know that for a fact. I don't know what of I'm dying, and I don't want to go to a hospital because I'm kind of like not really ready to hear the bad news of why I'm dying. Like, sir, you've got about, fucking 10 reasons, you got 10 reasons wrong why you're dying, and I'm going to tell you this right now. And I got to sit there and take all that news and then go back home and just sit in my room, and I'm probably not going to listen to a damn thing or hear any sound. I'm just going to sit there and just like look back on my life and be like, fuck me, Like, this is what I got to fucking deal with. And, I'm not really ready for that. I know that people are like, well, you need to figure this out now so, you can get your life straight so you're not falling in line with, getting worse. And you can progress getting your life back on track. But it's just, the bad news is, I guess, psychological. Like, the more I start thinking about it, the more I don't want to hear it. And it's, how most people are. If it's not there, it's not really happening. But that's a sheer fucking lie. Keep fucking saying that word, right? Sheer fact. Fuck. I guess I'm just nervous because I've never really done a podcast before, so. But yeah, health is going down the drain, but there's been so many things I wanted to do over my life, like, create my own games or direct my own games. I feel like I'd be better directing than actually making my games. I have tons of fucking ideas. Like, I can literally sit there and within 10 minutes spawn out an entire damn game. Like, I've done it before a million times when someone's like, hey, what type of game would you make? And I'm like, that's a hard fucking question because I have like a million fucking ideas. Like, I can just sit here and just make up an idea and you'll be like, that game needs to be made. Or take old games that I grew up on and I'm like, how the fuck haven't they made it nowadays? Like, for the example, like Battletoads, like, how is that not blown up again? I mean, I know it's a beat 'em up game, but like, damn, dude, you could definitely make that game into a better perspective. Like, they've done it a million times with Double Dragons, and I do understand it didn't really last long. But there's tons of other beat 'em ups that have done the same concept. Like, Streets of Rage came out with a new game, and it got pretty decent. I mean, there was a lot of people in fan base that got back into that game, and they really loved it. And I'm looking at the reviews, and it's wow. Like, people are just going crazy over this game. And honestly, I've never gotten a chance to play it. That's another game. Like I said, once I got tired of consoles, I was done. I had a PS4, was my last major console, and honestly, I think the next console that I actually get is probably going to be the Switch, which would be pretty fantastic. Like, I would love to get a Switch. Like, that would be the bee's knees in my world because I love Nintendo. Even though they're money-grabbing bastards. Sorry, Nintendo, but I gotta say it. Like, y'all really get out of the box and get really worked up over good ideas, and you shun these people out who are modding instead of giving them a job. Instead of giving them the benefit of the doubt of learning more and actually taking them in like Capcom has done and plenty of other companies out there who see these people modding the hell out of your games, and they're just like, wow, that's a great fucking concept, dude. You got a great mind and a head on your shoulders. Like, bro, we should definitely get you up in here so you can start working even more. But no, Nintendo's just like, cease and desist, and if you don't do that, we're going to sue the shit out of you. And I don't like that concept. That's the only thing that I have against Nintendo at this point in time, because they always just look at these great ideas and they just shun them out. And they're just like, we're the top dogs, asshole. Like, what the fuck are you doing with my game? And I understand that it's kind of like, you're the big brother and you get the little brother, and the little brother has like your fucking toys when you're a kid, and you're just like, no, that's my favorite toy. I say that because I've actually done that. Sorry, Sean. Like, I apologize for being a dick back then, but I mean, I was an asshole and I was very spoiled. Let's just say that. Like, if I wanted toys or anything that I wanted as a kid, my grandparents made it happen because I was pretty much in a shitty situation with my parents. And again, I do apologize to my parents for having to hear this, but that's what I went through. So I do apologize, but it was not easy at all. But anyways, the fact that Nintendo sits there and they bullshit left and right about all these fucking ideas and they just shun them out, it really gets on my nerves. So yes, I would get a Switch for the fact that Smash Brothers and You know, I love Smash Brothers. I'm a damn good competition when it comes to Smash Brothers. If I get reacquainted with it or the right controllers in my hand, I'm actually a really mean bastard when I'm playing that game. My main characters I normally play as is young Link, and pretty much any of the Links. I don't like the new Breath of the Wild Link. The way he plays out is it's a little weird for me. I'm not really too big into that idea. I kind of like the OG version of Link when it came to, you know, playing as Smash or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I didn't like that. It just kind of pissed me off that they, you know, they did it. But they're going with the trends. They're trying the best they can. It's just some of the characters in Smash, it just upsets me because I don't know, like there's so many other ideas that they could have put in there instead of putting, like, I don't know, fucking Sora from Kingdom Hearts was a dumb idea. Which, I mean, technically they have the right to do it because they did have the Kingdom Hearts on the 3DS and they've had Kingdom Hearts on the Game Boy Advance. I get it. I totally get it, but it's like the worst damn idea because there's plenty of other Nintendo characters out there who deserve their due. Like, I'll say it to the end of this day. How the fuck do you have Wario in Smash, but you don't have Waluigi? That upsets the hell out of me. It really does get me upset because it's like, bro, like he deserves a spotlight, and he's not getting it. Bomberman is another Nintendo game that I'm very surprised he didn't get a spot as a contender in Smash Brothers. It upsets the hell out of me, especially when you put Final Fantasy VII in there, which was not a Nintendo game. It was not an exclusive to Nintendo. It was strictly PlayStation back when I was a kid. And now all of a sudden he's in there and I'm like, why? He wasn't even on Nintendo. So none of this makes any sense. Bayonetta, I can understand because they did release a Nintendo copy of it. And, you know, I kind of get that. It's kind of weird to see Devil May Cry in there. Well, not Devil May Cry, but yeah, pretty much along the lines of Devil May Cry. And I'm just like, Bayonetta is not supposed to be like Nintendo. Like, I don't get it. But yes, they did have a game, so I understand why. You know, there's plenty of other people out there that could have been in the game. Like, Captain N is a very underrated character. He was made back in the 80s as an 80s show about a kid, or teenager, sorry, that got stuck into his Nintendo and had to basically, like, help out a bunch of Nintendo characters for their genre at the time. Like, Mega Man, there was Kid Icarus, and, like, a couple other people that were in there, but that would have made sense. That would have made sense. And the fact that it was, like, mostly like pushed towards the American point of view, I guess that's not going to happen. I'm not trying to be racist. I'm just being honest. It's the old ass cartoon. Who the fuck's going to remember it, even if you put the character in there? But I've always wanted to see him in there because it makes sense. He even uses the Duck Hunt gun as a weapon, which, I mean, Duck Hunt is in Smash, so that would be fucking brilliant. Sorry, I apologize. I'm getting coffee right now. Like, it's how I'm getting through my day. I just woke up very late. Stayed up late last night watching anime, and I can't even list out the anime that I watch because I watch continuous amounts of it. My favorite genre would have to be isekai. All day, isekai anime is my favorite. The fact that you got a person who goes into, you know, living their daily life and they somehow get killed and they get reincarnated into a whole different world, and it's like sword and fantasy and magic and all this crazy shit. And the only thing I have against some of these animes is they're like all harem based. It's like, how the fuck does this guy get like 7 fucking women that are going after him? But whatever. That's Japanese concept, I guess. Dreams and dreams, right? But back to the Smash idea. Yeah, I've always wanted to see more characters for Nintendo jump in there. There's plenty of other things to go back on, especially if you look back on the old years of Nintendo and how it started out. Like, I'm very surprised they didn't put the karate guy in there from Kung Fu. That was back on the Famicom. I'm very shocked that that didn't happen because that would have been a very heartwarming moment for a lot of people. The fact that you grew up on such an old-ass game and it has not been recreated in any type of format for Nintendo as I know of in the later years. So, like, it really does suck. As for the Castlevania characters, I'm actually happy the way they went with it. I kind of wish they would have had, more people in there. I didn't really play Castlevania that much when it came to those TD 2D type of games that really pushed you to the point of I'm fucking sick of this game. I can't play it no more type of shit. It was Mega Man X, and Mega Man was just fucking hard. Just oh my god, like it got. Oh man, yeah, I have countless times where I was just like, fuck this game. And, you know, it would have been cooler to see Mega Man X go into Smash rather than see Mega Man himself jump in. Kind of upset me. But I get it. I mean, Mega Man is an iconic character for the Nintendo. And I mean, I totally get it. I really do. Um, with Young Link, I was kind of upset that they didn't change a lot of his moveset because they were basing him off of the Link from Majora's Mask. And you didn't use any attacks that had the mask setup, like, you know, a strong attack with the Goron or the strong attack with the Zora or the Dooku Shrub. Like, that would have been cool. And then the special attack would have been the Fierce Deity, which, you know, the Fierce Deity is like the best fucking mask of them all. But if I was to make a character based off of that, that would have been like that. Because even Hyrule Warriors did it, and I was just very shocked at the way they did that game. And to this day, it's probably one of my favorite Zelda games, only for the fact that they did a good job. They took Dynasty Warriors and they turned it into a Zelda game, and I was just like, it's not gonna work. I remember when the game was coming out, I was like, it's not gonna work, man. This is that shitty fucking concept. I mean, look what they did to Gundam Dynasty Warrior. I mean, it was just weird as shit. I didn't like the concept behind it. I mean, the idea putting Gundam in there was cool, but you're dead set on like a certain amount of combos, and it starts getting really overwhelming to the point where it's like it's the same shit every single fucking time. It's different people and different mechs and stuff like that. But with Hyrule Warriors, it was like, wow, you've got such iconic characters jumping in here, and it's just there is a good storyline to it, even though it's a little wacky. But I mean, that's Nintendo, you know. Like Nintendo's gonna do anything they can to bring the wackiness out to do a fresh take on something old. Like I totally get it. Um, for the most part, a lot of the Metroid games, I played a good bit of them, but nothing new. Especially the one on the Switch, I haven't really been played. Again, I don't have console. Most of the time, if I do play anything Nintendo, it's on my computer, and it is old ROM hacks and stuff like that. Like I like what the fans have created rather than what Nintendo is dishing out at the moment, because a lot of the fans they have fresh ideas. They have stuff that hasn't been thought of, or they're trying to complete a game that was just never ended, and you're just like, this is what we need. But Nintendo gets all pissy about it, and they're like, we don't like your idea. You need to stop that right now, or we're gonna sue the piss out of you. And you're just like, that's not cool, man. Like, give him a job. You know, help the guy out. Don't shun him out of his entire fucking idea. Or at least at the very least, like give him a fucking job, man. Come on. It's not hard. I mean, I've seen Capcom do it a million times where they got somebody who starts modding the hell out of their game, and they're like, man, you know, you really did some stuff there, man. You really stepped up your game, and you know, you brought a lot of flavor to the game. Like we would love to have you on board, but you're gonna have to stop what you're doing right now. That's for sure. Like we don't want you to continue that, but definitely come on board. We need your help. That would be amazing. And you know, stuff like that is what really gets me happy when I see someone in the game industries like go from that point to that point, because it's like I started out in my basement type of shit, just making fucking stupid mods that I never thought would go far. It was just something I wanted to see happen, or somebody suggested, and they were like, just this is amazing, like that would have been cool. But it never happened, you know, because Nintendo's like, fuck you, man, we don't want this shit. Yeah, really sad. Um, yeah, I don't even know where to go with this podcast. Like I'm very new to this. I guess I should go back on what I was talking about earlier about the whole, you know, me growing up type of deal. So yeah, I grew up playing video games. Sorry for the long tangent. I can go for days talking about games. I didn't really have a great upbringing. Like it wasn't terrible. I had a lot of issues as a kid, especially with anger. Like I don't nowadays, which is weird because most people who have anger issues from childbirth they continue it. It stays embedded in them, and it doesn't stop. For me, it was more like life beat me down so much to the point where I can't even get angry anymore. Like I just can't. Like that type of finesse just doesn't come out of me anymore, and I kind of wish today's it does, but it just doesn't happen. I really wish it would because there's times in my life that I could have boasted up or did something different or told somebody different stuff, and may have benefited them and me at the same time, or I may have had more of a backbone as a child, and things would have been different. But life just kind of pushed me down more and more to the point where I just kind of floated, just went along with things, or I didn't really push the ambition because I didn't think I had the ability to do it. When everybody in front of me was like, dude, you have the ability, you have the mind for it, like you're fucking brilliant when it comes to the ideas. And I'm just like, ideas are great, but they don't really get you far because, if the right person hasn't heard your idea, then what the hell's the point? Like nobody's gonna want to hear that shit. It's like, yeah, I work in $1 million fucking industry and I have like 15 other fucking guys to tell me different shit on a daily basis. What's the difference between your shit? And nobody gives it a chance because that's their world and it's not yours. So, I mean, I totally get it. Middle school was different. It was definitely different. I got into my fair share of fights over some really stupid shit. Um, Most of them was fights that broke out, and I just involved myself because I felt like they were doing the wrong. The other one of the people in the fight was doing something wrong to the guy or girl, and I stepped in and was like, "Yo, fuck this! Like, I'm not having it." But that type of finesse, I guess, stopped after middle school. Like once I got to high school, I kind of like stopped. Like I didn't want to continue that anymore, or I had some serious fucking shit going on at home between my dad and his woman at the time, and just things just kept getting harder and harder, and I honestly didn't know where to go with half of the shit going on at my family. And it got so bad to where like I would get bad grades and stuff like that, so like they would ground me from going anywhere, doing anything, and my only outlet was school, which I tried telling them that a million fucking times, but like they didn't listen. So like that was my only outcome, or that, or sneaking out of the house and like going out for the entire night and coming back home, and they're like, you got bags under your eyes. What the fuck's wrong with you? And they're thinking I'm on drugs and shit, which I wasn't. I mean, the most I ever did was like when I was in high school, I smoked weed and I drank occasionally. Like it wasn't even an all-time thing. It was just like, "Oh, cool. You got a bottle. Let's drink. Let's have fun. Let's listen to music. Let's shit talk about, video games and, fucking make fun of wrestlers and shit like that." Like I was a big wrestling fan for a long time until like wrestling got really stupid. Um, yeah, after the deaths of a few good known wrestlers, it just got to the point where things got watered down so bad, and it was like you could now fucking tell it was a soap opera. Like back then, they were using like barbed wire baseball bats, throwing people into flaming tables, thumbtacks on the damn wrestling mat, or throwing someone off of an entire fucking cage that's like huge as fuck, and they're just throwing them into a table. Stuff like that was like that's what I was all into, because like you're throwing this at live television. Of course, I'm going to watch it. And then they watered it down over time. After my favorite corporation WCW got slapped out of the mix, I didn't really like it anymore. And then I tried it out for a little while as it was WWF, and then of course that Wildlife Federation decided to go ahead and slap them with a lawsuit. They changed it to WWE, and I didn't really watch ECW. I heard about it and watched a few episodes, but the fact that I was already in the WCW and WWE, or WWF at the time, it just was like, how many of these fucking storylines can I keep up with? I mean, I'm not trying to breathe wrestling. I don't see myself being a wrestler at any point in my life, but like, it was cool to watch. Like, of course, when you're a kid, you're like, man, let's get on the trampoline and DDT each other, and then we'll create our own show. And yeah, that's cool and all, but like, I never really saw myself becoming a wrestler. Like, I definitely didn't think that would be an actual thing for me, and it never did. Thank God. because I'm pretty sure I'd have brain damage to this day. Not saying that a lot of wrestlers back then didn't go through that or did go through that. I just the fact is like I'm just that's not the profession I feel like I would have made it in. Um, shit. Yeah, high school was cool. I met a lot of people, and especially with the personality I have now, I wish I could go back in time with the personality and known memories of how things went and change a lot of things. A lot of people I wish I could treat a little differently. A lot of relationships I wish I would have taken more seriously. Because you see some of these people out in the world, and it's a luck of the draw type of thing that you find somebody and it's love at first sight, and you're just like, wow, I could really see myself being with this person for fucking ever. And at the time, no teenager wants to hear that shit. Like that's fucking benign right there. Like, why the hell are you what for the rest of our life? Like, I haven't really experienced life. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But I would have taken it a lot more seriously. There's a couple women that I went and had a good relationship as friends with that I kind of do wish I would have taken the opportunity to been like, hey, I definitely like you, and shit like that. And who knows how far that would have progressed. The fact is, I didn't take the risks that most kids take, and I wish I did, because who knows where that risk would have took me. It's a risk is a double-edged sword. I mean, it could go the right way or it could go the wrong way. I mean, you never fucking know. But that's what I wish I would have done. Instead, I don't know, like secluded in my head. I was always worried about what people thought, shit like that. And yeah, it got to a point where it was just like I don't know how it's gonna work. If I tell this person I like them, or how are they gonna think about me? Are they gonna think differently about me? Is things gonna be the same as it was before I asked her out? Shit like that. So I didn't take those chances because I was always worried about the outcome. And instead of actually being a real fucking teenager and just taking that risk, I didn't let it happen because I was worried about the repercussions of what would happen. Um, After high school, things got even more dicier. Like it got to a point where I didn't know where I was gonna live. Um, Living with my dad, I'm not gonna get into it too much about like what happened between me and him. Like I love my dad, I do, but we had not the greatest relationship as child and son and father. Like that just didn't really work out very well. He had his own prerogatives in life, and I guess I didn't meet those expectations, and or at least that's what I felt my entire life. Um, and I probably never will. That's the sad part. Like he tells me, recently when I hit him up and I'm like, I'm sorry, I wasn't the son that you wanted, and I hope one day you can find it to understand this is not who I'm gonna be of what you expected. And he's like, no, son, I just want you to be happy, and I just want you to be able to carry your life a little bit better. And I understand that, I totally do, but it's just I haven't really been too much of a family person since my grandmother and grandfather died, who was like the ones who practically raised me, and it got really hard after a while because it was like once my grandparents died, like something inside me kind of broke, like something just kind of faded away. The whole family thing just kind of started fading out the door, and like the family kind of tore itself apart. And yeah, that's pretty much where things went. And a lot of shit was going on with me and my dad, so I didn't want to go back down there at first and be around him. And that resulted me not being there for my sister, which a lot of people would look at this situation and be like, dude, if you were old enough, why didn't you go down there and see her? But the fact was, like, I hated my dad for a long time. I did not like him. Um, Now I love him. Like I do. Like I already know times getting to a point where it's like, holding that type of grudge is really stupid. I mean, I'm alive. He did the best he could back then. I can't really fault him for that. But like, there were things I wish he would have done a lot differently looking back on it now. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people can agree with that. But there's pros and cons to that entire fucking conversation there. So, outweighing and trying to figure out which was right and which was wrong, you'll go mad trying to figure that out. Um, Christmas has not been the same for years. I haven't had a good Christmas at all for a long time, let alone a birthday. And I mean, my sister was born on my birthday, so I mean, there's been time or two where I wish I could go down there and see her. There's times where I'd have a Christmas card in my hand and I'm about to write it out to my sister, and I can't do it because I don't know what to write. Like it's like me when I'm writing music or whatever, and I'm trying to write the lyrics, and the next thing I know, like words go blank. I don't know what else to say, and I feel like saying too little is just gonna make an impact of I don't care. And either damn way, like it came off as I didn't care, which was not the point. It was just like I didn't know what to do. And every time around this time of year, I don't have money. I've been working dead end jobs my entire life, and I've been trying to get ahead, but every time I make like 20 steps ahead of me, I'm dropped back like 15 steps. So, especially when I meet the wrong person and I try to make things work, and then I fall in love like an idiot at the fucking age of 23. Was it 23? I think it was a little later than that. But I fell in love for the first time at a later age. I mean, really fell in love. Like, it wasn't like puppy love bullshit. It was like, I actually think I love this woman. Like, I want to spend the rest of my life. And they don't understand the struggles you've been to because, like, you don't want to explain it. You get to a point where you just don't want to talk about you. You don't want to say shit that you're feeling. And it's not for the fact that all masculine men don't talk about their feelings. Like, it's not even that. It's just, I don't even want to fucking say shit that I feel. Because, like, the more I start talking about it, I start getting irritated. I start getting mad. And that's somewhere I don't want to go. And on top of that, I start looking back and I'm like, yeah, my life is shit, like fuck, like I don't want to relive all that shit. Like, what's the fucking point in going back and looking at all that? Um, but I do love my sister, like I really do. Like I remember her when she had came out, and I remember being around for quite a little bit of that time. And I really wish I would have been able to stay there for her entire time growing up, because I'm pretty sure there was difficulties and issues that went on that she probably didn't understand. It would have been nice to have a sibling around telling them, "Hey, this is let me help you get through this, man. Like I can do the best I can." Or at least just being there, a voice that for someone to talk to would have been nice, but I really screwed that up over time because I just my hatred for my dad kind of put me in a really bad spot. Um, so I understand like why my sister doesn't really want too much a part of my life, and I don't blame her for it. I fucked up. That was me. That's something I gotta live with for the rest of my life, and that's fine. Um, well, I mean, it's not fine, but it's like I'll just have to deal with it. Like that's just what I'm gonna have to fucking figure out. My mom has been going in and out of the hospital recently, and it scares me because like there's still unanswered questions that I never really got down, and like the hard part is to understand what's a lie and what's not. And I'm not saying that she's an avid liar or whatever, but like it's hard to differentiate what's real and what's not because there's two sides to a coin. My dad can tell me something and then she can tell me something, and the fact that they both hate each other might outweigh the way they end up telling me what really happened. That's a bit of an issue with me when it comes to that because it's like I just want the truth. I don't want your hatred for the other to get in the way of that. I want the God's honest truth. And if you can't do that, then I don't want to ask. I don't want to hear it because when it gets down to it, I don't know exactly what happened. I wasn't there. It's not like I can fucking sit there and like go back in time and relive that situation. Like that's not going to happen. So that's the only reason why like I constantly sit there and I'm like, damn, my mom's dying or getting close to it, and I'm like, fuck, man, like at least let me be there. Like that's the best I can do. I may have had a lot of issues with her, and I may have had a lot of hatred for a good bit of time, which I mean it's not can really explain. And to further detail, it's just I had a lot of problems, growing up without an actual family type of deal, which plenty of people do it. Plenty of people live a life without their certain, mother or father or whatever, and they go on to live their own life, and they don't even bitch about it. But I guess that really got under my skin at the time, and yeah, I mean, I had a lot of hatred towards certain things, like for some reason, hatred and grudges ran deep in my life as a kid, and it was hard to let them go. It took a long time to finally start being like, "Yo, that's not the right life to live," and unfortunately, it's getting to be a little too late. So that's my fault. Um, People that I have dated in the past, who did the right things and did everything that they were supposed to, I kind of screwed that up, and if I did, it was my fault. And on the sheer fact that I wish I could go back in time and fix, certain things or at least end it the right way, I can't even do that because, like, what's done is done. But, like, I feel bad for the situations that happened back then because I went about things in a totally fucked up way. And there's no, like, nothing I can say to right that wrong except for, I wish I was a different person, and karma comes in threes, so I guess I'm getting what I deserve later on in life. So it is my fault. Um, and then there's relationships that I just flat out can't fucking even stand. Like, I don't even want to talk about a couple of people that I've met, but I got dirty, or did dirty, or they did me dirty, sorry. Yeah, I've been done dirty 1,000 times, but I guess it wasn't because well, I guess it was because I was not the person they thought I was, or they wanted me to be something I wasn't. And I wasn't in the mood to change myself for them, which personally, if you're going to be in a relationship, you can't change the other person. That's kind of fucked up. It's really selfish on the other person's part to sit there and be like, you need to change for me. Like, woman, I don't want to change. And if I don't want to change, stop trying to change me. Like, I don't understand why you keep trying to push me this way. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, I'm not trying to make you change. And, like, I have tried to do that a couple of times where I ask a woman, like, hey, just sit down and play some games with me. That's another way to win my heart. Like, I'm a huge fucking gamer. So, like, just sit down and game it out with me. I'm not saying to fucking make it an everyday damn thing. Just sit down and play a couple of games with me so we could sit there and just have fun. And then in my world, that's having fun. And I know that sounds boring to a lot of people, but that's what I'm into. um I wish there were a lot of friends that I was able to still hang out with back in high school, but I'm pretty sure their personalities have changed. Definitely changed. Like, nobody's going to act the same for the rest of their life, and I understand that. I totally agree on that fact that nobody will ever act the same in their entire life. Some people don't change, but that might be a bad thing or it might be a good thing. But for the most part, it's like most people don't change. I mean, fuck, tongue tie moment. Most people do change, and that's normally for the better. Like I said, I'm really nervous about doing this podcast. Like, I'm literally laying down shit that I normally don't talk about, and it's just it's a little different for me. But I figured it's about damn time that I start doing something like this, or all this bottled up shit my entire life, which is what I've done my entire life, is bottle shit up and just let it bottle up and let it bottle up, and it gets to a point where I couldn't fucking deal with it no more, and sooner or later it's gonna come out in a really bad way. So if this is the other outlet that I need besides video games, then so be it. I mean, whoever's listening to this, like, cool, grand, just bear with me. I'm not used to doing podcasts, and I know I'm going left and right with the way I'm talking about things, but bear with me. It is the first time I've done this. I'll probably step outside and grab a cigarette. Um, which is another thing that's really attacking the shit out of me. Like, I definitely got to figure out a way to stop, but it's become such a normalized thing in my life that it's just something I do, whether I'm stressed out or I'm playing a game and I lose a million fucking times, and I'm just like, fuck this game, I'm going outside for a cigarette, like shit like that. But I definitely need to find a way to quit because it is attacking me in threes and fours and fives, and to the point where I'm just gonna be pretty screwed for the rest of my life, which I definitely don't need that. What else can I talk about? Fuck. I'm still not used to this type of shit. Um, I'm over here thinking. I've pretty much let a lot of opportunities go to waste. A lot of people my entire life, even in high school, middle school, kindergarten, whatever. Like I was told I had a lot of potential, and I was deaf in one ear my entire life. Like I was born that way. And I've had a talent for music. I've had a talent for video games. I've had a talent for BMX at one point. I almost really got into BMXing because of the sheer fact that I was able to like, I could do shit that a lot of my friends couldn't. I would take risks just for the hell of it because it was fun. That type of adrenaline just really was a rush. But I stopped doing that because I started looking at skateboarding, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't all that great. I was able to do a couple of tricks, but I was never able to do anything like Tony Hawk worthy or like Bob Burnquist worthy or Chad Muska. Nothing like that. Like it's stuff that I've always wished I could do. It just wasn't for me, I guess. Like after a couple times of breaking your shit and like bruising yourself and busting your head across the pavement, you start thinking, man, like I don't think this is the life for me, man. Like I'm really hurting myself over here. Um, some people are into that. Some people like to bust their shit all over the place, and it gives them more incentive to try it again because they're like, you know what, I'm gonna overcome this obstacle. And I totally agree. I understand that factor. But I've never been able to do that. Like, I don't like breaking my shit and being like not able to work and shit. Like, I'm barely hanging on to the life that I got right now just by working the dead end jobs. And I'm really wanting to like expand my horizons. Like, I would really like to start directing my own game, but it's hard for anybody to take you seriously nowadays. Like, nobody wants to do anything for somebody who doesn't have proof of concept. And in order to have proof of concept, you have to do this shit yourself. And it's like, I don't know how to do any of this. And they're like, well, just learn it. And I'm like, well, that's like going up to someone who's 50 something years old and going, learn Japanese right now. Just start learning Japanese. And I'm like, I don't fucking know this. This is like a whole different language. That's what coding is. That's what scripting is to me. Like, it's like fucking Chinese. Like, I don't understand it. And it's something that I know that I need to get into, especially if I want to try for this at least one more chance to go for it, which I'm going to. Like, I definitely want to try for this concept. Like, I definitely want to work in that field. But I'm getting older and older, and I don't know how long I've got to where, people can actually take that fact seriously. It's like, I don't want to be 50 or 60 years old if I make it down to that point, and just now come out with my game, like, damn, my entire life, and then I just now came out with a game. It's just it's a little unmotivating, like, it doesn't really work for me. But, I got my friend who I live with right now. He's constantly telling me, like, man, you got to take things as stepping stones. And the more I look at my life, it's like time is going faster. Like, in the blink of my eye, I was like fucking 25, 26 years old, and then now I'm like 33, and it's just like, what the fuck? Time really goes. And then all your friends have kids, and you're like, I don't have kids. And like, I've always wanted kids, but like, I've never been in the spot or position to actually do it because I'm not going to bring a kid into this world and not be able to back it up. Be able to do something financially for them. And a lot of people are like, you can't plan it out. It's just something that happens. And I'm like, well, I mean, technically, if I really wanted to go about it by planning it out, it's possible. It's not impossible, but it is possible. Like, I definitely don't want to have kids until I got my shit straight. And honestly, I don't think I ever will because, like, I've not met that right person that really makes me want to, settle down completely that way. I mean, like I said in the past, I thought I did, but they turn out to be a person that I didn't even know, or they had different intentions, or they were lying about certain things. And I got to a point where it's just like, that many times of being screwed over, that many times of going through that shit, it wears you down. You get to a point where you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And ultimately, that's the decision I ended up making. Now, that could be the wrong decision or whatever. I mean, there's one person that I let get away, and for purposes on this channel, I'm not gonna say their name, and I'm not gonna say exactly how things went down between us. But that's the one that I let get away. I screwed up on that one. I cheated, and I made things worse on there. And obviously, if you cheat once, even if it was an accident, like, that person in their head for the rest of their life with you is going to be thinking, like, are they going to be cheating? Have they cheated? Who are they talking to? You know, that brings that type of paranoia into the relationship, and that's something I definitely don't want, especially for the other person, because it's not fair. Like, you shouldn't have to do that for the rest of your fucking life. So I totally agree on that factor that, you know, ending it because you screwed up is the right thing. And I was one of those assholes who cheated and didn't tell her about it. I flat out cheated and fucked up and then realized what I did. And then I was like, you know what, fuck this, be the man about the situation, tell her. So I did. I told her exactly what was going on. And I got pretty screwed in that because, like, I knew exactly what was going to happen if she wanted to be like, hey, I'll give you another chance. And you obviously know it's like, it's going to be stuck in the back of their mind. Are they cheating? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? And it's like, well, fuck me. Like, I kind of figured it was going to go that route. And then it doles out the relationship. You start getting mad because you know for a fact in the back of their head they're thinking this way, and you're just like, well, yeah, maybe I should start over. Maybe things should be a little different. Maybe you need to move on, because obviously if you got this type of paranoia towards me, it's unhealthy and it's not going to work. Or we can try to talk about it, but at the time I was really shitty about talking shit. Like, I couldn't really talk things out because I would bottle things up, and it made things 10 times worse on my end. Fuck. I don't even know what else to talk about. I'm trying to think here. Oh yeah, there was one relationship, the one that I fell in love with. See, the one I'm talking about that I let get away, I didn't fall in love with. At that time, I was too cautious. I was paranoia for the fact that I didn't want to be screwed over and feel like everybody else that I'd seen through my entire life fall in love, and they got screwed, and then they're like this fucking crazy person for like a long time because love got the best of them, and they become bitter, and they become so fucking angry about the world because, like, one person took their entire world and dropped it on their head. I didn't want that, so I never tried to give it a chance, and that was also another factor in the one that I let get away. It screwed me up. Like, it screwed our relationship up too. Like, I don't even think I was ready for that relationship, to be honest. But we're all human, so at a very certain point you start feeling alone, and that's, I think, what's made me push myself into that situation. And it's no offense to her. She was great. She was awesome. I mean, I was going through a lot of shit, and she helped me out, or did the best she could to help out, so I fault her for nothing. And that's the best way I can say it. Again, I'm not going to say her name, and I don't want to put too much of her situation out there, because that would be unfair to her. But yeah, now there was the one person I did fall in love with. I found out they were doing a lot of bullshit, and they had an addiction that they couldn't run away from, or I should say didn't want to run away from, and just kept, like, continuing that path. And I should have looked at the notions there that, you know, if you're going to that extreme, this relationship's not good. But I, for some reason, thought they would change over time, or, you know, notice that, you know, I'm going through my own shit and be like, yo, none of this is worth it. We should just go ahead and try to figure this out together and, you know, get us through it. But it wasn't even that way. I mean, they expected me to go to a very far extreme and change my life, which there was parts of my life that I needed to change. Like, I needed to get my license. I needed to fucking, you know, grow up, essentially. But, like, I was having a hard time doing that. And even to this day, I struggle with it because I'm just a fucking big kid, dude. Like, I love my video games, and I like being a kid at certain times. Like, everybody needs to be that way. Once you lose that kid part of yourself, it's gone forever. And, like, I never wanted that to happen. And I'm not talking about, like, no Michael Jackson bullshit, like, let's stay little kids forever. let's go to Neverland. Like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you lose that aspect in life, it's gone forever and you can never gain it back. And it sucks because you see a lot of people go through that and they're just so fucking stern with their life and shit. And they're in a good spot, but they're unhappy. They can't be a kid. They can't enjoy it. And that's the one thing that I've never wanted to happen. But yeah, a lot of stuff went between me and her, and ultimately cheating happened on their end more than a couple times, and I got to a point where it was hard for me to believe things, but I was in love, so I'm still like an idiot trying to make it work, and it didn't. It just made things worse, and I started looking like an idiot. Like, you're texting long ass paragraphs, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Nobody does this shit. And you feel like an asshole. You feel like a dipshit because you're doing this, but you're like hoping that it'll catch their attention. You're hoping they'll listen. You're hoping that your voice will be heard. And it doesn't. It doesn't happen at all. And you're just like, well, fuck me, man. Like, my life is shit. Because I finally found what I thought was love, and they turn your entire world and drop it on your fucking head. And I'm not saying I was perfect, but like, things could have been worked out. And had it gone in the right direction, yeah, if we would have sat down and actually tried to be in a relationship instead of, you need to be like this, and I'm tired of this, and I don't need this, and you need to be like this, and I'm outweighing my pros and cons, and you're more on the pros, and I mean, you're more on the cons than my pros, and just fuck, man, like, shit got really fucking intense. And ultimately it got to the point where, she ended up uh breaking up with me, and I guess obviously first time falling in love, it tore me the fuck up, so I didn't know how to feel about it, and I was trying my best to get her back. Ultimately, I felt like nothing was going to save it, and that the right decision, especially if somebody has an addiction like that, just fucking leave. Like, there's no point in sticking around for that. They don't want to help themselves, and obviously I'm not doing good enough job to help her out, or anything to benefit her in any aspect of that. So I was like, you know what, screw this, I'm done. And I ultimately packed my bags and got the fuck out. Like, and I'm guessing like she thought I wasn't gonna do it because I have done that before, where I went over to somebody's house and I was gonna stay there, but somehow she talked me into coming back, and I went back to her, and ultimately it just screwed me over because like the same shit just kept happening, and like the addiction was still there, and like, for example, like this woman would steal from the grandparents and stuff, and I'm not going to say who it is, like that would be wrong, but at least pushing the way I felt about the situation, I have to, because that shit was kind of fucked up. um I had dark times in my past where things got to a bad situation, and I did stupid shit to my own family, but stealing medication for my own family, just that's a hell no. Like, my grandmother was already I my grandmother was going through shit, and I mean, she had medication out the ass, and to be honest, I never stole from my grandmother in that aspect, never. Like, I will never forgive anything like that. Like, that's just kind of fucked up. But again, everybody has a dark time in their past, and it's not easy. It's really not. Um, so I understand this woman's point of view on why she did things and what she did. I can't really fault her on too much because she had her own shit in her head that she was not able to work out. But still, at the same time, things could have been remedied. A lot of could have been changed. But as time moved on, like, I guess we saw each other on and off, and it got to a point where her father had died, and she didn't really have a good relationship with this guy. And we got a ride, she gave me a ride down there because, like, and at the time I had a broken arm, and she didn't really care about that. She was just like, oh, you'll be fine. And I'm like, woman, my arm is broken. I have to stay here. And I went anyways. And honestly, I think that's the reason why my arm didn't heal right, because I was still like moving my arm in situations that I shouldn't have been moving. And ultimately it fucked that arm up pretty good. But, like, a lot of shit was going on. And we would be happy 1 minute talking in the car, and then we'd be arguing about shit, and then happy one moment, and then I'd hear a song on the radio, and it felt like it fit the description of what we were going through, and I'm just sitting there singing along with it, and I'd look over at her, and the whole thing was just fucking toxic as shit. And it got to a point where, like, right after her dad's funeral, I was already upset with her about certain things that I found out because she was still, like, lying about shit and not telling me the whole truth. And she was trying to bounce between me and another guy. And I didn't like that. I didn't like it one bit because it's like, what's the point in bringing me along and you're still talking to this other guy and you're talking about working things out? Like, it doesn't fucking make any sense. So I did the fucked up thing and was like, you know what? We don't need to see each other ever again. And then somehow later on, we ended up meeting back up and we ended up talking and shit. And we had sat down, slept together, which is, stupid on my part. And then, after that, we never saw each other again. She got addicted to a very hard substance, and I wasn't going to be around that addiction type shit anymore. Like, I was pretty much done with it. I had already gone through my entire life through, like, alcohol addiction, especially after my grandmother and my grandfather died. I became an alcoholic to a very large degree at that point. And it took me about a good 3, almost 4 years to quit completely of being that type of alcoholic. Like, I drink, but I don't drink to that extent. I hardly drink anymore. It just takes a certain occasion to make me want to, or I get very depressed and I'm like, I'm going to drink, which is a stupid reason to drink, but nobody's perfect, I guess. Um, and honestly, like, after time went through, we drifted apart. We became totally different people, and she got into her life, and her life changed up quite drastically to the point where we were no longer there in the aspects that I wanted, and I'm pretty sure I could never ever exceed the expectations that she wants. And ultimately that's how it went down. But yeah, that's how life went. Like, time changed, and I couldn't do anything about it. Um, and for a little while, I was sitting there like, she was like, I've changed, I'm not the same person anymore. And she was expecting, I guess for me to like try to swoop in like the White Knight or some shit. I don't know. But there's no way I could because like I still don't exceed the expectations she wants. Like, she expects me to be this like different guy, and I'm not quite where I want to be when it comes to that anyways. So it's like, I don't know. I'm definitely trying to become a different person for sure. But as it is right now, baby steps, like my friend keeps telling me. And it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a long road, especially I'm 33 and I feel like time's slipping way too fast. And I already feel like I'm too damn old to do shit, which is a stupid way of thinking because everybody's like, you're still young. You still got a life ahead of you. But as I said before, I feel my body is literally dying each day, every day. I feel it. I understand it. I don't want to admit it. And I don't know what it is, and I'm afraid to go to the hospital and try to figure that out. Plus, I don't have the money to do that, so I'm not definitely trying to do that. Because if I hear that bad news and it hits me that bad, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know how I'll react to that type of decision. And be like, oh, you have this such and such, and you need to take care of it, or you need, Lord help me if I have cancer or some shit. I'm just gonna fucking lose my shit. Which, I really don't think I got cancer, to be honest, but if that was the fact, that I don't think I would want to go through the chemo and all that shit because it just I see how people fight for their life, and it tears me up when every time I got to see somebody go through that, and it just looks fucking miserable, hard, ridiculously hard. I don't think I have the willpower to make that happen. So I think I would end up ultimately taking the ball. I'd probably let the ball drop, to be honest, which is sad. But I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I know a lot of people are gonna hear this and be like, "This shit is fucking crazy. This guy's out of his fucking brains. Like, this guy's nuts."
Like, what the fuck? Or, some of this stuff in my life I probably accidentally left out, but like, I don't know, there's too much of shit that's gone on in my life to really just bring up here on this first podcast of mine. Um, Going off on tangents about shit in my life, about how I felt and what went wrong, and, you know, the unbottled emotions, or I'm sorry, the bottled emotions that are being unbottled now, so I don't even fucking know. Uh, yeah, so I don't know what else to talk about. So I think this is probably a good area to stop for now. I'll try to think of some other stuff. There's plenty of other stories that I could probably think of later on and talk about that. But I guess throwing this out to my little community, I guess I'll get some feedback and, don't criticize me too bad. No human's perfect, man. Like, everybody's had their ups and downs and maybe some more than others. But look, man, I went through my life, and I'm sad to say I'm actually trying now rather than before, but, it is what it is. I hope everybody had a great holiday. Mine was kind of shitty. I didn't really have one. Like I said, I haven't had a good Christmas in ages, like for a long time. And my birthdays for the longest time have been quite shit. Like, I have not been able to celebrate. I normally don't have money around the end of the holidays or the end of the year for that matter because things get a little harder. Um, it's funny. Like, in the beginning of the year, I'm doing great, and then like at the end of the year, it just goes straight back to this miserable fucking bullshit, and it's fucking hard. Um, but yeah, I hope everybody did actually have a good holiday. I don't wish anything bad on anybody. And hopefully the New Year's entering this New Year's will be good. I hope it's not a hard year next year, and I wish the same thing on everybody else. Like, I really hope it's not hard. Hopefully things are less difficult. Other than that, yeah, awkward way to end it, but yeah, guess I'll talk to y'all later. And again, don't be too don't be too crude on the feedback because I'm already nervous doing this. Like, I'm not used to putting who I am and my emotions and any of that shit out there to anybody. But I figured a trial and error. Go ahead and throw it out there, see what people think. And if anybody listens to it, that's cool. And I'm sorry it's fucking like an hour and some odd minutes, but like, this is all I could pretty much think about for the time limit. So hope all is well and later days.